Okay, as I said, I've been playing some of this Indiana Jones game, and it's a bit better than what I expected because I was expecting a 6 out of 10 game, so like the bare minimum when it comes to a game being okay. But instead, it's a bit better than that. I would say, considering I have seen pretty much mm, everything, at least when it comes to the core gameplay, because there's of course are going to be other areas. I'm still in the first area because the areas are very big to explore. Definitely, the exploration is the strongest point this game has to offer. So if you don't like to go around and explore huge environments, this is not the game for you. If you find this stuff boring, yeah, definitely skip this game. So, like, I would say the game is a 7 out of 10. So it's an okay game. It can be fun, but in my opinion, it's no masterpiece. But I'll talk a lot more about this later on. Now, first, a few more impressions about the game and the gameplay. So, like I said, there is pretty much a huge. You find yourself in a huge environment. The maps are pretty big. There is a big hub area in which you go around, explore, find objects, relics, documents, all that stuff. And of course, there are enemies scattered around the map, but there is also the possibility for you to change clothes. So you'll if you want to get past certain areas without having to fight, you'll have to use certain disguises. Otherwise, yeah, the enemies can recognize you very easily if you are in the wrong area with the wrong disguise. Now, when it comes to the quests, like so the stuff you have to do basically, it's mostly let's say like explore a location because considering the hub area is very big, you will have to go inside specific smaller areas to complete certain missions and so on. So like sort of like mini dungeons. But yeah, like you go into these mini dungeons, you complete your objective. Like most of the time, it's find an object and then get out, or like find this object and give it to somebody else. For the most part, and then there's also like the collectathons. So like find a number of these objects. So these are the quests that you can expect from this game. So some of them are fetch quests and are kind of boring. So keep this in mind. Like the game is very slow. Like this is not definitely not an action game. This game is very like the pacing is quite slow, honestly. Like if you if you don't have a big attention span, it can result pretty boring. I would say this game was made like mostly for fans, of course, of Indiana Jones. I mean, I do enjoy Indiana. It's not my favorite franchise, but I do enjoy it. So I'm enjoying the game overall. Like I said, it's another bad game. I never thought it was gonna be like a bad game, like for the most part Starfield is. Like I said before, I thought it was gonna be like an okay game, a 6 out of 10 game, but it's a bit better than that. Now let's talk about the combat. The combat and the stealth, which are the other two fundamental parts of the game, are pretty underwhelming, I have to say. Like the stealth is pretty much a joke because unless you're in an area with a lot of enemies, there's barely any point in trying to be stealthy. But even that, honestly, you can just run away and lose enemies very quickly. Like there's really no penalty for being discovered. It's very like Kid, Kiddy's first stealth game in this sense. The stealth is a joke in this game. It's I understand why they put it in, but honestly, put it like implemented like this is kind of it's pointless. In fact, I don't even bother anymore with stealth. Even when I get caught, I just run away and lose the enemies because they are not fast enough to run after you. You just lose them very easily. And I'm playing on hard. I'm not playing on easy. I'm playing on hard. There's only another one. There's only one more difficulty level above what I'm playing, so it's not like I'm playing on easy. The combat is very reminiscent of Condiment 2. Uh, there's a few interesting options, like you can throw objects, you can use the whip. The whip also you can use them. You can use it to explore, to climb and stuff. But the combat, in the combat, you can use it to stun enemies. Um, each arm is tied to a trigger, so you can't even do combos. Honestly, you just mash buttons like the triggers to punch, punch, punch. There's of course a block. You can push away enemies. The combat, I would say, yeah, it's a watered down version of Condiment 2. It's not very deep. It's okay enough that it doesn't result boring, considering it's the only really action focused part of the gameplay this game has to offer, the combat, because everything else is exploring and like climbing a la Uncharted, let's say. Some platforming here and there, but it's not really the focus of the game. The focus of the game is exploration. This is like an exploring game for the most part. And also if you're a fan of Indiana Jones. So like I said, the combat is okay. The stealth is very underwhelming. Like nothing to write home about. What else? There's a weird choices when it comes to this game. Like I also like definitely agree with a lot of people who have been saying this game should have been third person, because it feels like they made this game first person because that's the only thing they can do, because this was made by Machine Games, the same guys that made the modern Wolfensteins. Because even when you climb, the camera will pan out and then you'll see the whole character model as you're climbing. So it's I don't know. It's weird. There's some things. There's some disconnect when it comes to the choices they made when they developed this game. For example, another thing that I don't understand why it's the way it is. The game is rated T, 14, of course, but there's no blood. There's no blood. Like when you shoot somebody, because there's also fire weapons, even though they are very rare, honestly. I've only had a fire weapon once so far. But when you shoot enemies, there's no blood. Like it seems like you're shooting them with BB guns, and I don't understand why. Like I'm not sure if the teen rating prevents a game from having blood. I'm not sure why they did that. And also, like, there's dogs in the game sometimes. You can't hurt the dogs. Like, you can like stun them, but you can't actually kill them, which is another weird thing, honestly. You can't like actually hurt them physically. You can only scare them or stun them, but no, not even really. So it's weird because I mean the movies weren't like gore movies, but they weren't even kiddie movies that there was no blood or violence. So it's weird. Also because there is some creepy imagery in the movie, like sorry, in this game. Like at the start of the game, there's like a guy that's been impaled to death, and it's like been dead for a while, so he's all like decrepit and skinny. I mean, that's not really something a, a kid would like to watch, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what exactly the teen rating entails. What else to say? Another strong point are the graphics. The game looks very good, honestly. The performance, I can only speak for the PC part, of course, is decent. Actually, it's pretty good. It seems to be very well optimized. Like you wouldn't have guessed by watching the requirements, but yeah, the game is pretty well optimized. It runs well. Of course, like run well. I mean, 1080p, 60 FPS. Even if you have like a mid-range GPU like I have, you're gonna be fine as long as you have 32 gigs of RAM. So it's pretty interesting in the sense because it looks good and runs well. At least if you don't implement ray tracing. The only problem, I think, if you don't have a video card that has ray tracing at all, so even if you have the shittiest card that has at least ray tracing in its hardware, you'll be able to run it. But if you have like an older GPU with no ray tracing capabilities at all, I don't think this game will run for you. So it sucks, but like you can even run it with a 6600 from AMD, for example. It should be like the cheapest GPU that has ray tracing. So performance is nice. So in definitive, I think I've said everything I want to say when it comes to the game, at least. And now, in this other part of the video, I want to touch something like when it comes to the rating of the games. I've noticed in general, but especially in the last few years, considering there's been a lot of drought when it comes to decent games. People, reviewers as well, but also people have lost the ability to completely to judge a game. To be honest, maybe they never had it because sometimes you just don't have it. The ability to judge a game in a bit more of a detached way, in the sense that you can enjoy a game a lot but still recognize its shortcomings. People can't do that. If they enjoy a game a lot, they're gonna say, "Oh, this game is a 9. This game is a GOTY," and can't they are just not able to see the flaws because like I've seen like 9s and 10s being thrown at this game left and right, and honestly, I don't know what the fuck they're smoking. Like the game is enjoyable. It's not a bad game, but 9s and 10s, no, absolutely not. This when it comes to like a game, this game is not better than another. For you want to make a comparison with another similar type of game, with the RoboCop game that came out last year, RoboCop Rogue City. This game is not better than that one. In fact, I think I did give to that game like an 8 out of 10 in my review last year. But I mean, that's what I think the rating is for that game. And this one, which in my opinion is definitely not better than that, has been getting like 9s and 10s from a lot of reviewers and people. I think part of this is because it's an Xbox I mean, it's not really exclusive, but it's an Xbox game. It's gonna come out on PS5, but it's an Xbox game made by Microsoft, so and that definitely alone warrants a bump in rating from some people. But other than that, like I said, the game is nothing like to write home about. There's a lot of flaws. It can be very boring sometimes. It can be repetitive. There is not much when it comes to action. So I really don't understand these ratings. Like I said, also two parts of the gameplay, which are the combat and the stealth, are kind of underwhelming. So I really don't see how this game. Yeah, you can like this game a lot, but nines and tens, no, this is just bullshit. This is just bullshit because I mean, going by if you wanna go this route, then I would have given RoboCop 9 out of 10 last year since I enjoyed it a lot. But no, I just said I think this is at best an 8 out of 10 game. And in fact, if you go and look at Metacritic, RoboCop has like by scored by the critic a 7 out of 10, and by users an 8 out of 10. While this one is, I mean, granted, it's still it's not even been 2 or 3 days since it came out officially. But this game has like an 87 from critics and from people as well. For the most part, it's the same score. Which I mean, I assume it's gonna be slightly down with time, but honestly, I don't absolutely think this game is worthy of a 9 because RoboCop is better than this game. It's a better paced game. RoboCop has a better pace and better gameplay overall, in my opinion, when it comes to the combat as well. So it's weird, honestly. I really don't understand the praise this game is getting. Maybe because there hasn't been an Indiana Jones game in a long time, but this game is absolutely not worth this much. It's a buy if you like these types of games where you go around and explore a lot, on sale or on Game Pass if you have the chance to get the membership for free or for very little. But absolutely no, this game is not a masterpiece or anything like that. I mean, I'm inclined to think that there's some shilling involved because, of course, there's gonna be like some marketing campaign. People are gonna overrate this game, considering it's a Microsoft and Bethesda game. Bethesda games always get overrated in one way or another. But this is just absurd, in my opinion. It's a game with a lot of shortcomings that has been rated way above what it should have been. Because, like I said, Robocop is better than this game, and Robocop has been rated fairly. Like I said, if you go on Metacritic, Robocop is an 8 from user score and a 7, which is a bit harsh from the critics. But this one, it's just has been like overblown in my opinion. And yeah, you can enjoy it. I'm enjoying it too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be playing it. But it's not a masterpiece. Like it's a 7 out of 10. If you're a super Indiana Jones fan, you can bump it up to an 8. Like objectively, this game is like, if you don't take into considerations the Indiana Jones stuff and so on, it's a 7. It's a honest, decent game. When it comes to the walk stuff, so far I haven't seen. I mean, because like I said, I'm still in the first area. I haven't seen anything egregious. I haven't even met yet the companion, the female companion, so I can't really tell if she's actually a bitch like I said she will. But we'll see. Like I said, I'll possibly like make a proper review when I finish this game. We'll see. We'll see how this video does. But so, like I said, I'll bump it up like 7 to 8 if you're an Indiana Jones fan. Otherwise, it's just a 7. Robocop, instead, it's an 8. Just by itself, in my opinion. And you can bump it up to a 9 if you're a super Robocop fan. That's the difference between this and that one. Robocop is just more fun and better paced overall. This one can be very slow, and the combat itself is serviceable, and the stealth is very bad, pretty much non-existent. But yeah. Oh, I also did the puzzles. Yeah, this game has puzzles, but they're not very like they're okay. They're normal puzzles. Sometimes the character will give you hints to solve the puzzle, at least the main ones from the story, but there are also optional puzzles that are a bit more like subtle, but still nothing to write home about. They're like the standard puzzles you can find in a mainstream game. You don't need to be a genius to solve them. So. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about everything, about the game, the whole like overvaluing games, because like in the last few years people have really been overvaluing, overrating games due to the drought of decent games. But yeah, this is just not it. But yeah, as usual, let me know your thoughts and I'll catch you in the next video, which I don't know when it will be. Bye bye.